brought to you by Soundlibra.com. You can find a direct link to our full library in the description of this audio, or visit us anytime at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to Build a Second Brain. Organize your knowledge. Never forget.
I'm so excited to start this journey, Alex.
Me too. Real quick before we jump in, a quick heads up. While we're discussing the Building a Second Brain methodology, this is an unofficial, independently produced podcast and is not affiliated with or endorsed by Tiago Forte or Forte Labs.
Good to have that context. So let's get into it. What exactly are we talking about here?
Imagine a digital extension of your mind, a system to store, organize, and connect everything you learn. It's a personal knowledge management system, or PKM.
A personal knowledge management system. That sounds a bit formal. What's the real benefit for me?
The benefit is huge. Think about never losing a brilliant idea again. You know those moments, Lisa, when inspiration strikes, a great idea, a solution, a unique insight, and then it vanishes? You can't recall it, or you can't find that quick note. It's a common frustration, right?
Oh, absolutely. I've lost so many great ideas that popped into my head in the shower. Or that amazing book recommendation I meant to remember, gone.
Exactly. A second brain is your solution. It's a reliable place to capture anything that matters to you: articles, podcasts, books, even your own thoughts. But it's not just a storage bin. It's a system for finding, organizing, and using that information.
So it's more than just a digital notebook? How is it different?
That's the key difference. A regular notebook often becomes a place where information goes to be forgotten. You save things, but you can't find them later. A second brain, however, is built for recall and creativity. It helps you take all the scattered knowledge you encounter and build something meaningful from it. It's about putting your knowledge outside your head, so your brain is free for deeper thinking and creating connections.
That makes sense. We're bombarded with information constantly. Our brains can only hold so much. Offloading some of that burden seems smart.
Precisely. Your brain is fantastic at processing and creating, but not perfect at recalling every single detail. Our memories aren't always reliable, and that's okay. A second brain helps with that. It's like an external hard drive for your knowledge, but a much smarter one.
So, what are the main advantages of building this second brain?
The advantages are significant. First, you won't forget great ideas anymore. That fleeting thought, that crucial piece of information, it will be there when you need it. Second, you'll be able to connect different ideas. With a well-organized collection of your knowledge, you'll start seeing patterns in relationships you might have missed. This is where real innovation happens.
Connecting ideas, that sounds like it would spark creativity, like finding puzzle pieces that fit together unexpectedly.
Exactly. And third, you'll become more creative. When you're not burdened by needing to remember everything, you have more mental space for original thinking, deeper analysis, and expressing your unique perspective. It enhances your own intelligence and creativity by using a system that supports your thinking process.
It seems like building a second brain is an investment in ourselves, in our ability to learn and create.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. It's an investment in your intellectual assets. We're not just collecting more information. We're turning the information we consume into usable knowledge and insights. It's about creating a reliable partner for your mind.
For anyone feeling overwhelmed by information or frustrated by lost ideas, this second brain concept sounds very promising.
It truly is. Over the next 13 episodes, we'll guide you through building your own second brain. We'll cover how to set up your system for capturing information, the best tools, how to organize your notes efficiently, and how to make your knowledge work for you.
It sounds like a path from information overload to clarity and organization. I'm excited to learn how.
Me too. So, for our listeners, a second brain is a personal knowledge management system, an external digital extension of your mind. It helps you capture, organize, and retrieve information, preventing lost ideas, fostering connections, and boosting your creativity. It frees up your mental capacity by externalizing knowledge.
Never forget an idea, connect your thoughts, and be more creative. That's a powerful promise.
It is. And it starts with understanding the value and impact this system can have. In our next episode, we'll explore the deeper reasons why, the core benefits, and the specific problems a second brain solves.
Building a second brain begins with understanding its promise.
Indeed. And that promise is a more organized, creative, and knowledgeable you.
I'm ready for episode 2.
Next episode, the why behind your second brain. Welcome back. Last time we introduced the concept of a second brain. Now let's tackle the why behind it.
Welcome back. Last time, we introduced the concept of a second brain. Now, let's delve into the compelling reasons for building this external system for your knowledge.
The most common frustration people experience is information overload. We encounter so much data daily, articles, podcasts, conversations, that our brains can't possibly retain it all. We read something fascinating, intend to remember it, and then it simply vanishes.
That's so true, Alex. It feels like trying to cup water in your hands. Those brilliant flashes of insight just slip away. And then there's the feeling of being scattered. Your great ideas are spread across dozens of notebooks and apps, and you can never find that one crucial piece of information when you need it most.
Exactly. That scattered feeling means your knowledge isn't serving you, it's hindering you. You might forget a solution you discovered last week, or a brilliant idea encountered an hour ago. These are missed opportunities, both in our personal lives and careers.
So, a second brain acts as a dependable partner, a digital extension of our minds, helping to reduce mental strain.
Precisely. Imagine it as alleviating your cognitive load. Our working memory, the part of our brain holding information for immediate tasks, has limited capacity. By offloading the burden of remembering and organizing to a second brain, we free up this valuable mental space for critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving. This allows for improved focus, as you're not constantly searching for scattered information.
That really clarifies things. So, instead of using mental energy to recall, we can use it to apply the information. It's about working smarter, not just harder.
Absolutely. And the advantages extend far beyond immediate efficiency. Building a second brain is a profound investment in personal development. It fosters a habit of continuous learning. You can systematically capture insights from books, courses, and experiences, creating a rich knowledge base for future reference and growth.
This seems essential for personal development and acquiring new skills. If you're learning something new, like a language or a new technology, having all your notes, tips, and resources in one accessible place would be incredibly beneficial.
It is. Furthermore, it significantly boosts creative problem solving. With a vast, interconnected network of your own collected ideas, you're more likely to forge novel connections. You can identify patterns, merge seemingly unrelated concepts, and generate innovative solutions that might otherwise remain undiscovered. It's like having an always available brainstorming partner, powered by your own insights.
So, it's not just about neat organization, but about actively cultivating a more innovative and capable version of ourselves.
Precisely. On a professional level, a second brain can be transformative. Picture preparing for a crucial meeting, a presentation, or a new project. Instead of frantically searching for notes from months ago, you can instantly retrieve relevant ideas, past project details, research findings, and expert opinions you've gathered. This leads to more thorough preparation, more impactful contributions, and enhanced career success.
It sounds like it helps you stay at the forefront of your field by consistently learning and synthesizing information.
That's the goal. This process goes beyond mere organization. It's about constructing a powerful engine for learning and innovation. It means transitioning from being a passive recipient of information to an active creator and synthesizer of knowledge. It's about making your knowledge truly actionable.
Actionable knowledge. I really like that. So, to summarize, the motivation for building a second brain addresses information overload and the feeling of being scattered. It serves as a reliable partner, reducing our cognitive load and enabling deeper focus. Long term, it enhances personal growth, skill development, and fosters creativity by connecting our ideas. Professionally, it leads to better preparation, more informed contributions, and career advancement.
You've captured it perfectly, Lisa. It's about establishing a system that supports your intellectual journey, empowering you to learn more effectively, think more clearly, and create more powerfully. It's a genuine investment in your future self.
It truly sounds like a revolutionary tool for anyone looking to leverage their knowledge more effectively.
Indeed. Next episode, we'll lay the groundwork by exploring how to create your capture system, the essential first step in gathering all your valuable information.
Excellent. So, next episode, the foundation, your capture system.
Welcome back. Last time, we explored the promise and essence of second brain. Now let's build.
Today, we're focusing on the absolute cornerstone of your second brain, your capture system. If you can't get ideas down, nothing else matters.
Exactly. Capture means reliably taking thoughts, ideas, or any information that sparks your interest and getting it out of your head and into a system you trust. Think of it as a digital net for your brilliant thoughts.
And the key is reliably. It needs to be effortless, so it doesn't interrupt your flow. If capturing is complicated, you'll lose those fleeting ideas.
That's why we talk about just-in-time capture. Capture information exactly when and where you encounter it, with the least amount of effort.
What does that look like?
It can be simple. On your smartphone, use a quick voice memo or a notes app. When browsing online, use a browser extension to save articles or excerpts directly.
Emailing yourself is another great trick. It leverages an existing habit. You can use the subject line to quickly summarize the idea.
The core principle is reducing barriers. Don't overthink it. The goal is simply to get it out of your head into a place you can trust.
I think people get stuck thinking they need a perfect system before starting. They research endlessly and never begin capturing.
That's the enemy of progress. You don't need a perfect system to start. Your second brain evolves with you.
So, the advice is to grab the easiest method.
Start with what's most accessible. If you use a notes app, start there. If you email yourself things, do that. Make the commitment to capture every idea.
We'll organize those captured notes later. For now, the mission is simple: capture.
Yes, capture without judgment. Capture without delay. Think of it as collecting raw materials. You don't need to know exactly how you will use a piece of wood when you pick it up. You just need to collect it.
So, to recap today's episode on the foundation of your second brain, we've defined capture as reliably getting information out of your head and into a trusted system. We stress the critical importance of a low-friction, just-in-time approach to make capturing effortless. And importantly, we debunked the myth of perfection, encouraging you to start capturing immediately with whatever tools are most accessible.
Your capture system is the bedrock of your second brain journey. Without it, there's nothing to organize, nothing to connect, and nothing to express. So, your homework is to identify your easiest capture method and start using it today. What's the quickest way for you to jot down a thought right now?
Make that your go-to. Don't worry about fancy tags or complex folders just yet. Just capture. Your future self will thank you.
Next episode, we'll dive into the tools of the trade. We'll explore some of the popular digital note-taking apps and help you choose the one that's right for your needs. Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Last time, we talked about capturing ideas. Now let's choose a digital home.
We've gathered our thoughts, and now we need a place to keep them organized and useful. Our digital note-taking app is key.
Exactly. Think of it as the central hub for your knowledge. It's where your ideas, insights, and information will live. These tools are designed to help manage information, not to be a burden.
So, what are the main types of apps we'll encounter?
You have traditional hierarchical note takers. They work like digital filing cabinets with notebooks and pages you can nest. Apps like Evernote or OneNote fit this model. They are very structured.
That feels familiar, like organizing physical folders and files. It's very category-driven.
Yes, that direct mapping can be intuitive, but the digital world offers more. That leads us to linked note takers.
Linked note takers. That sounds more interconnected, right?
Precisely. Apps like Roam Research or Obsidian focus on connecting your notes. You link them to each other, creating a network of ideas. When you write about one topic, you can easily link to related concepts.
So, if I'm writing about Julius Caesar, I can link that note to one about the Roman Republic or military strategy.
That's right. You can see all connected notes instantly. This helps reveal relationships between ideas you might not have otherwise grouped together.
And what about apps that combine these approaches?
Many modern apps are hybrids. They might offer folder structures, but also support linking and tagging to connect ideas across different sections. Notion, for example, is very flexible and can be configured to function in multiple ways.
With all these options, how do we choose one? It feels like a big decision.
Remember, the tool supports your process. It's not the goal itself. Focus on what serves your workflow. Start with ease of use. If taking a note is complicated, you won't do it. The capture process must be frictionless.
That makes total sense. If it's too much effort, the idea is lost. What else is important?
Syncing capabilities are critical. Your knowledge base needs to be accessible everywhere, on any device. Seamless syncing between your phone, tablet, and computer is essential.
Absolutely. Imagine an idea on your phone that doesn't appear on your laptop later. That's a missed opportunity. And what about finding information later?
Search is paramount. A powerful and fast search function is vital. You need to locate information quickly, even if you don't recall the exact location or tags. Many apps offer advanced search options, including searching within documents or images.
So, if I vaguely remember reading about something months ago, a good search should help me find that specific note.
Exactly. And finally, consider future-proofing. Is the app actively developed? Does it have a community? Can you easily export your data? You don't want your accumulated knowledge trapped on a platform that might disappear.
Those are excellent points, Alex. To recap for our listeners, when choosing a note-taking app, consider ease of use, reliable syncing, powerful search, and the long-term viability of the platform.
Yes, and don't be afraid to experiment. I've used many tools over the years. The key is to try a few that seem promising and see how they feel for your personal workflow.
It's about finding what works for you and that you'll use consistently.
Precisely. The tool should empower you. In our next episode, we'll discuss how to make your captured information truly actionable. Next episode, the art of the note, making your captures actionable. Welcome back to Build a Second Brain. Last time, we explored the essential tools for capturing your thoughts. Now, we're diving into something even more crucial: how to make those captured notes truly work for you.
That's right, Alex. It's one thing to save information, but it's another to make it actionable and memorable. Today, we're talking about the art of the note itself. We'll learn how to transform those fleeting thoughts and snippets into valuable building blocks for our second brain.
Exactly. Think of it this way. You build a fantastic filing cabinet, but if the papers inside are just a jumbled mess, it's not very useful. The magic happens when each piece of paper, each note, is clear, complete, and tells a story.
So, how do we go from a quick save to a truly impactful note? What are the core principles we should be thinking about?
The first principle is atomicity. This means each note should ideally contain just one single, distinct idea. Why is this so important, Lisa?
Well, if a note tries to cover too many things, it becomes overwhelming. It's hard to understand, hard to find later, and even harder to connect with other ideas. Breaking things down into single ideas makes each note focused and digestible. It's like having one small, perfect ingredient instead of a whole messy buffet.
That's a great way to put it. Keeping notes atomic makes them more flexible. You can easily reference that single idea in multiple contexts later without bringing along a whole bunch of irrelevant information. It's about precision.
So, we aim for one idea per note. What else contributes to making a note clear and useful?
Another key element is clarity. We need to write notes in a way that we or someone else can understand them clearly, even months or years down the line. This means avoiding jargon we might forget, or at least defining it. It also means writing in full sentences and explaining abbreviations.
I can definitely see how that would help. Sometimes I go back to my notes and think, what on earth did I mean by that?
Exactly. And this leads us to what you should actually include in your notes. A good note is more than just a quote or a single fact. It needs context. Where did this information come from? What book, article, podcast, or conversation?
Ah. So, the source is crucial. That adds a whole layer of credibility and understanding.
Precisely. And beyond the source, it's vital to add your own thoughts. What do you think about this information? Does it confirm something you already knew? Does it challenge your beliefs? Why did you save this in the first place? This is where the knowledge starts to become your own.
Adding our personal perspective, that's really the bridge from just consuming information to truly integrating it. It transforms passive saving into active engagement.
Absolutely. And finally, consider the potential applications. How might you use this information in the future? Can it help you with a project, a decision, or a creative endeavor? Thinking about this "so what" of a note makes it far more likely to be revisited and used.
So, to recap the essential components of a truly actionable note, we have the single, atomic idea, the clarity in our writing, the context of the source, our own personal thoughts and reflections, and finally, the potential for future application. That's a powerful framework.
It really is. This approach moves us away from simply collecting information to actively cultivating knowledge. Most people just capture information. The difference between a functional second brain and a digital junk drawer is the deliberate crafting of these individual notes.
It sounds like deliberate practice. It's not just about making the capture quick, but also making it meaningful at the point of capture.
That's the key. When you practice these principles, atomicity, clarity, context, personal thoughts, and potential applications, you're doing two things. First, you're making sure the information is usable for you later. Second, you're reinforcing the learning process. The act of dissecting an idea, adding your thoughts, and considering its use is a form of deep learning.
It's like building with high-quality bricks instead of just piling up loose stones. Each brick is solid, well-formed, and ready to be part of something bigger.
Perfect analogy. And when your notes are crafted this way, they become incredibly easy to organize later. When you group atomic notes on a similar topic or notes from a specific project, they're already well defined and ready to be linked.
So, by making our notes actionable now, we're setting ourselves up for success in the later stages of building our second brain, the organization and connection phases. It all starts with the quality of that fundamental building block, the note itself.
Exactly. It's the difference between having a digital archive and having a genuine, dynamic thinking partner. And remembering this framework will help you tremendously as we move into how to organize these amazing notes.
Fantastic. So, to summarize today's episode, we've learned that making our captured notes actionable is paramount. We should strive for atomicity, meaning one idea per note. We need to ensure clarity in our writing, provide the source context, add our own personal reflection, and consider potential applications. By making our notes high-quality building blocks from the start, we pave the way for a more effective and useful second brain.
Well said, Lisa. And this focus on crafting quality notes is the perfect bridge to our next episode, where we'll explore a powerful method for organizing all this fantastic information you've been capturing. Next episode, the Para Method Explained. Welcome back to Build a Second Brain. Organize knowledge, never forget. Today, we're diving into a powerful organizational framework that will revolutionize how you manage your information, the PAR method.
We've learned how to capture and refine our thoughts, but if we can't find them when we need them, that effort is for naught. The PARA method brings order to the potential chaos, making information retrieval smooth and almost effortless.
PARA is an acronym, and each letter stands for a fundamental category to organize all your digital information. It stands for projects, areas, resources, and archives. Think of it as a universal structure for everything you keep.
So, let's break down each of these components. Alex, what exactly goes into projects?
Projects are your short-term efforts that have a defined goal and a deadline. If you're working on something with a clear endpoint, it's a project. For example, planning a vacation, launching a new website, writing a report for work, or even renovating your kitchen. The key is that it has a finish line.
Okay, so anything with a clear objective and a time frame. What's next?
Next up are areas. Areas represent your long-term responsibilities or standards that you need to maintain. Unlike projects, they don't have a definitive end date. Think of them as ongoing roles in your life. Examples include your health, your finances, your hobbies, or your personal development.
This is starting to make sense. Areas are about ongoing responsibilities, while projects are about specific, time-bound tasks. So, what does resources encompass?
Resources are topics or interests that might be useful in the future, but aren't tied to a current project or an ongoing area of responsibility. They're subjects you're curious about or want to learn more about. This could be anything from a particular historical era to a specific programming language to recipes you want to try.
So, resources are like your personal library of fascinating subjects you're exploring. And finally, archives.
Archives are everything that is no longer active but might be useful for reference in the future. These are things that have been completed, are no longer relevant, or have passed their point of active use. Think of completed projects, outdated responsibilities, or resources that you've finished learning from but want to keep on hand.
This framework provides such a clear hierarchy. Let's recap, Alex. Projects are for your active, goal-oriented tasks with deadlines. Areas are for your ongoing responsibilities and life roles. Resources are for topics of interest you're exploring or want to explore. And archives are for completed or inactive information that you want to keep for potential future reference.
Precisely. Now, let's illustrate with some examples. Imagine you're planning a trip to Japan. That entire travel plan, booking flights, researching hotels, creating an itinerary, would fall under a project. It has a clear goal, a successful trip, and a deadline, your departure date.
Got it. And since you're interested in photography, learning about different camera lenses and composing shots would be a resource. You're not actively working on a photography project right now, but you're building your knowledge base.
Exactly. And maintaining your fitness would be an area. You have ongoing responsibilities like exercising regularly, eating healthily, and scheduling checkups. There's no end date to being healthy, right?
No, thankfully not. What about if you finish that trip to Japan?
Ah, once the trip is over and you've returned, all the notes, itineraries, and booking confirmations from that trip to Japan project would likely move into your archives. It's no longer active, but you might want to look back at your expenses or favorite restaurants for future reference.
This makes so much sense. It's like a filing system for your entire digital life. By having these distinct categories, you drastically reduce the mental effort of searching for information. You know that if you need something for an active task, you look in projects. If it's about an ongoing part of your life, it's in areas. If it's just something you're curious about, it's in resources. And if it's old news, it's safely tucked away in archives.
That's absolutely key, Lisa. Para reduces cognitive load. When you need something, you don't have to sift through a disorganized mess. You intuitively know where to look, which saves time and mental energy. This clarity is fundamental to building a truly effective second brain. It allows you to focus on doing rather than searching.
It's about making your information serve you, rather than you serving your information. So, to summarize, the PARA method provides a simple yet powerful way to organize all your digital notes and files. It has four main categories: projects for active, time-bound goals, areas for ongoing responsibilities, resources for topics of interest, and archives for completed or inactive information. By consistently applying this structure, you create a system that supports recall and productivity.
This organizational structure is the backbone of a functional second brain. It's not just about collecting information, it's about making that information accessible and useful. In our next episode, we'll explore how to move beyond para and develop your own unique personal organization system, building on this solid foundation.
Next episode, Beyond PARA, developing your personal organization system.
Welcome back. Last time we dove deep into the para method.
Absolutely, Alex. PARA is brilliant because it's so practical. It's about taking action, about having a clear system for what needs attention now, what's an ongoing responsibility, what's for reference, and what's finished. But I'm really excited about today's topic because, as powerful as PARA is, it's not the only way to organize our digital notes, right?
Exactly, Lisa. That's precisely it. Para is a foundational framework, a really strong starting point. But the true power of a second brain comes when you adapt and personalize your system. Today, we're talking about developing your own unique organizational system, one that truly serves your individual needs and thinking style. It's about making your second brain feel intuitive, not like a chore.
That's such a crucial point. Sometimes, when we learn about a system like PARA, we can feel a little locked into it. But our lives, our work, and our interests are so diverse. How can we start thinking about moving beyond PARA to create something that's truly ours?
The first step, and this is key, is empathy with yourself. You need to understand your own information flow. Think about how you naturally consume information, how you connect ideas, and what kind of friction you experience with your current system. Are you constantly searching for notes on a specific topic? Do you have trouble finding resources for a particular project? Asking yourself these questions helps you identify the pain points that a personalized system can address.
So, it's like identifying the leaks in your current digital sieve before you try to build a better one?
That's a perfect analogy, Lisa. You're identifying the leaks. And once you know where those leaks are, you can start building layers of organization that make sense for you. Para gives you those four broad buckets, but within those buckets, there's immense flexibility. For instance, within your areas of responsibility like health or finances, you might have sub-areas. Or within resources, you might want to categorize information by topic or by source.
That makes sense. So, if para is the house, we're talking about how to furnish and organize the rooms inside it in a way that works for the people living there.
Precisely. Para provides the structure, but your personal system adds the nuance and the specific detail. Think about tagging. Many note-taking apps allow you to add tags to your notes. While Para uses folders or locations, tags offer a more flexible, less hierarchical way to connect information. You can tag a note with hashtag productivity, hashtag marketing strategy, and hashtag clientx. This means that note can surface when you look at any of those tags, regardless of where it's physically stored.
So a single note can live in multiple conceptual spaces because of tags. That's powerful for discovery.
It really is. And this leads us to thinking about custom hierarchies. While Para is folder-based, many tools today allow you to create hierarchies beyond simple folders. This could be through nested tags, links between notes, or even custom views. For example, if you're a writer, you might create a hierarchy within your resources for character development that includes subcategories like archetypes, backstories, and motivation. This goes deeper than a general writing resources folder.
So, instead of just a broad category for writing, you're creating a dedicated space for a specific aspect of writing that's important to you.
Exactly. And it's not just about creating more folders or tags. It's about creating a system that supports your unique way of thinking. Some people are highly visual, others are more linear. Some people prefer lots of broad categories, while others thrive on very specific, granular organization. The goal is to build a system that feels intuitive to you, so accessing information feels effortless and natural.
It's like building a mental map that mirrors your own brain.
That's a fantastic way to put it. A mental map that mirrors your brain. And this system needs to be flexible and evolve over time. As your projects change, as your interests shift, your second brain should grow with you. This isn't a static system you set up once and forget. It's a living, breathing entity.
So, the emphasis is on adaptability, not being afraid to tweak and refine the system as you learn more about what works best for you.
Absolutely. And this brings us to the idea of linking. We'll go deeper into linking in a future episode. But for now, understand that creating connections between your notes is a vital part of a personalized system. If you have a note about a concept in a book and another note about a project where that concept applies, linking them creates a powerful bridge. It's like building neural pathways for your knowledge.
So, Para gives us the structure. Then we add layers of personalization through things like tagging, custom hierarchies, and future linking, all with the goal of making the system uniquely ours.
That's a great summary, Lisa. Para is a fantastic guide, but your second brain's true power lies in making it your own. It's about creating an organizational system that doesn't just store information, but actively helps you think, create, and discover. It should feel less like a filing cabinet and more like a creative partner.
And the key is to continuously observe how you interact with your system and make adjustments. It's a personal journey.
It is, and it's a journey well worth taking. So, remember to look at your current system, identify where you can add more clarity and connection, and don't be afraid to experiment with tags, custom categories, and linking to build a second brain that truly feels like an extension of your own mind.
Excellent advice, Alex.
Next episode, we're going to explore the incredible power of linking ideas and how it can revolutionize your knowledge management. Welcome back to Build a Second Brain. Last time, we explored how to organize your notes. Now, let's dive into something truly transformative, the power of linking your ideas.
This is where knowledge really starts to come alive, isn't it, Alex? We've been collecting and organizing, but linking is where we start to connect the dots and generate new insights.
Exactly, Lisa. Think about how your own brain works. When you learn something new, it doesn't just sit in isolation. It connects to existing memories, experiences, and other pieces of information. Linking in our second brain aims to replicate that natural associative process.
So, it's not just about having a massive library of notes, but about making those notes talk to each other?
Precisely. The core concept here is what some call network thought. Instead of viewing your notes as separate files, you start seeing them as nodes in a vast network. Each note can be connected to many others, creating a web of interconnected ideas.
That sounds powerful. How do we actually do that? I'm picturing going back through hundreds or thousands of notes and manually creating links.
That's where modern note-taking apps come in. Many offer a feature called bidirectional linking. What this means is that when you link note A to note B, the link is registered in both directions. So, when you're on note A, you can see that it links to note B, and when you're on note B, you can easily see that it links back to note A.
That's much more efficient. So, it's like creating a conversation between your notes. When I'm reading about, say, gardening techniques, and I link it to a note about composting, the app can show me that connection from both sides.
Exactly. And this is where the magic happens. These seemingly simple connections can lead to profound insights. For instance, imagine you have a note about a challenge you faced on a past project and another note detailing a productivity technique you read about. By linking them, you might realize that the productivity technique could be the solution to the project challenge.
That's a great example. It takes that passive information and makes it active intelligence. It's moving beyond just storing facts to actively using them.
Absolutely. The most exciting breakthroughs often come from connecting ideas that, on the surface, appear completely unrelated. Think about the famous story of Archimedes and the Eureka moment. He was sitting in a bath, and the concept of displacement clicked because of a connection his brain made between the water level and his own body. That's the essence of networked thought in action.
So, we should actively look for opportunities to link notes. It's not just a passive function of the app.
Definitely not passive. You have to be intentional. As you're taking notes, or even when reviewing them, ask yourself, what does this remind me of? Or how does this relate to something else I've learned? Even if the connection seems tenuous at first, create it.
And for listeners who might be thinking, this is still a bit abstract, what are some practical ways linking helps?
Great question. Linking helps in several key ways. First, it fosters creativity and sparks new project ideas. You might link your interest in music and technology, and suddenly a new app idea emerges. Or you might link a historical event with a current social trend, leading to a fascinating essay topic.
So, it's like a brainstorming partner built into your knowledge system.
Precisely. Second, linking helps us deepen our understanding. When you can see how multiple concepts relate to each other, you gain a more holistic view of a topic. If you're studying a complex subject, linking different theories, historical contexts, and practical applications will solidify your comprehension.
It's the difference between memorizing facts and truly understanding a subject.
Exactly. And third, linking helps us solve problems more effectively. By connecting different perspectives on a problem, you can see potential solutions from multiple angles that you might have missed otherwise. Imagine linking a customer complaint with a technical issue and a marketing strategy. The solution might become immediately apparent.
It's like giving yourself a wider lens through which to view challenges.
Yes, and this process of creating and exploring these links also helps our knowledge become more resilient to forgetting. When a piece of information is connected to multiple other pieces of information, it's much easier to recall. It's like having multiple pathways to the same destination.
That's the power of density, isn't it? The more connections a piece of knowledge has, the stronger it becomes in our mental network.
You've got it. This is where passive knowledge transforms into active intelligence. You're not just a collector of information. You become a creator and a synthesizer. The act of linking forces you to engage with your notes, to think critically about their relationships, and to build a truly interconnected and usable knowledge base.
So, to recap what we've learned today about linking, we should aim to create a network of our ideas, leveraging features like bidirectional linking. We need to be intentional about making connections, asking ourselves how new information relates to what we already know. And the benefits are significant. It fosters creativity, deepens understanding, helps solve problems, and makes our knowledge more accessible and resistant to forgetting.
That's a fantastic summary, Lisa. Remember, your second brain isn't just about capturing, it's about connecting. The more thoughtfully you link your notes, the more powerful and insightful your personal knowledge system will become.
It really is where the true value is unlocked. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Next time, we'll be discussing progressive summarization, a technique for distilling your knowledge even further. Welcome back. Last time we explored the incredible power of linking notes together, connecting ideas. Now let's tackle progressive summarization.
That's right, Alex. We've talked about capturing and organizing information, but what do you do with a huge collection of notes? Progressive summarization is the answer. It's a technique to distill knowledge from your sources and notes, layer by layer, until you get to the core essence.
Think of it like this. You read an article, capture the main points. Then you go back to those points and pull out the most important sentences. You go back again and summarize those sentences in your own words. Each step refines the information, making it more potent and easier to recall.
So it stops you from just having a giant archive of raw notes. It helps you actively process what you're consuming. Can you walk us through the steps?
Absolutely. The first step is capture. This is where you take information from a source, an article, a book, a video, and get it into your system. This might be a highlight, a screenshot, or a quick note.
Got it. So, that's the raw material. What's next?
The next layer is highlighting. When you're reviewing your captured notes or the original source, you read through it and highlight the most important passages. You're looking for sentences that capture the core idea.
This is where you start to identify the key takeaways, right? You're not just copying everything, you're actively picking out the gems.
Precisely. And this leads to the third layer, annotation. Now, you go back to your highlights and you transform them. You might bold key phrases within the highlighted text, or even better, you start to write your own thoughts or connections in the margins, or as separate notes linked to these highlights.
So, you're not just highlighting, you're adding your own understanding to it. You're making it personal.
Exactly. It's about engaging with the material. Now, here's where the progressive part really comes into play. After highlighting and annotating, you move to the fourth layer, summarization. This is where you take all those highlights and annotations and condense them into a brief summary in your own words.
This sounds like the most challenging part. It requires truly understanding the material to distill it down.
It does, but that's the beauty of it. By going through the previous layers, you've already done a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of comprehension. This summarization step is about crystallizing that understanding. You might create a short summary at the top of your note or a separate summary note. The goal is to have a paragraph or two that encapsulates the entire piece.
So, to recap the layers, capture, highlight, annotate, and then summarize. Each step refines the information. It's like peeling an onion or refining raw ore into a precious metal.
That's a fantastic analogy, Lisa. And the beauty is you can do this multiple times. Some people talk about multiple passes of summarization. You might have a very brief summary for quick review, and then a slightly longer summary that includes more nuance.
So, I could have a note where I've highlighted several key sentences, then written a few sentences of my own thoughts, and then at the very top, a single sentence that captures the absolute core message.
Exactly. And if you revisit that note later, you can glance at that single sentence summary and immediately grasp the main idea. To go deeper, you read the short summary, and to truly understand the context and your own processing, you read your annotations and highlights.
This feels so much more efficient than just having a large list of links or dense notes I have to reread entirely. It trains your brain to identify what's most important.
It absolutely does. You become a better filter for information. You learn to ask yourself, what is the absolute essence of this? And that skill is invaluable not just for your second brain, but for your thinking in general. You're not just passively consuming, you're actively processing and synthesizing.
It's like you're creating knowledge nuggets that are easily digestible and ready to be used. When you need to recall information for a project or a conversation, you can quickly access the distilled essence.
And because you've summarized it in your own words, it's already internalized. It feels more like your own knowledge rather than something you just read. This process helps you identify patterns and connections between different pieces of information over time, which is really the core promise of a second brain.
So, progressive summarization isn't just about making your notes shorter, it's about making them more powerful and more accessible for future use. It's a strategy for deep learning and knowledge retention.
Precisely. We've talked about capturing and organizing and now distilling. These are the foundational pillars of building a system that truly supports your thinking and creativity.
This really shifts the perspective from simply collecting information to actively working with it to make it useful.
That's the goal. So, to quickly revisit, progressive summarization involves capturing information, then highlighting key points, annotating those points with your own thoughts, and finally, creating concise summaries that distill the essence of the material. Each layer builds upon the last, ensuring you extract the most valuable insights.
It's a powerful technique for transforming raw data into actionable knowledge.
Indeed. Next time, we're going to focus on cultivating the habit of capture, making sure this entire process becomes second nature. So, join us for episode 10, Cultivating a Capture Habit. Consistency is key. Welcome back to Build Your Second Brain. Today we're diving into episode 10, Cultivating a Capture Habit. Consistency is key. Lisa, it feels like we've built this incredible digital filing cabinet, right? We've talked about the promise of second brain, why we need one, and how to build the core components like capture systems, organization methods, and the art of progressive summarization.
Absolutely, Alex. We've laid a fantastic foundation. But as great as those systems are, they're just potential energy. If we don't actually use them, if we don't consistently put information into them, they're like a brilliant idea that never gets written down. And that's where habit formation comes in.
Exactly. This episode is all about making sure that the input, the capturing of information, becomes second nature. Because let's be honest, the most sophisticated system in the world is useless if it remains empty. What's your biggest take on why this habit is so critical, Lisa?
For me, it boils down to this. A second brain is only as good as the information it holds. And that information only gets there through consistent capture. Think of it like a gardener. You can have the best soil, the most beautiful tools, a perfect watering system, but if you don't regularly plant seeds and tend to them, you won't have a garden. Capturing is our planting and tending.
That's a perfect analogy. We need to make sure we're consistently planting those seeds of knowledge. So, how do we actually go about building this habit? What are some of the practical strategies you recommend for our listeners?
I think one of the most effective ways is to integrate capture into your existing daily routines. Don't try to add a whole new block of time just for capturing. Instead, weave it in. For example, if you're reading an article online, make capturing a relevant snippet part of the process. Or, if you have a great idea in the shower, have a way to quickly jot it down the moment you step out. It's about making it as effortless as possible.
Seamless integration. I love that. So, it's not about finding time to capture, it's about capturing during the time you're already engaged in activities. What about reminders? Are those helpful?
Reminders can be incredibly powerful, especially in the early stages. You can set yourself a notification, perhaps mid-morning and late afternoon, just to pause and ask yourself, did anything interesting or important come up that I should capture? It's a gentle nudge that can prevent valuable information from slipping away. It helps, as you say, train your brain to think about what needs to be captured.
I found that worked for me too. Even a simple recurring reminder on my phone can be a lifesaver. And what about those moments when motivation wanes? Because building habits isn't always easy. What are some common obstacles? And how can we overcome them?
A big obstacle is the feeling of overwhelm. People might think, oh, I have to capture everything. This is going to take forever. But that's where we pivot to what I call microhabits. Instead of aiming to capture an entire book's worth of insights at once, focus on capturing just one sentence, one idea, one fleeting thought. These small wins build momentum.
Micro habits. So, breaking down the task into its smallest possible components?
Precisely. And along with that, celebrating small wins is crucial. When you successfully capture something, acknowledge it. It could be as simple as a mental pat on the back, or perhaps a tiny reward. This positive reinforcement helps your brain associate capturing with a good feeling, making you more likely to do it again.
That makes perfect sense. We're rewiring our brains to see capturing not as a chore, but as a rewarding activity. You mentioned making it seamless. What does that look like in practice?
Seamlessness comes from having your capture tools readily available and incredibly simple to use. Whether it's a voice note app on your phone, a quick add widget on your computer, or even a physical notebook and pen always within reach, the barrier to entry needs to be minimal. If it takes more than a few seconds to capture something, people will often give up.
So, accessibility and speed are paramount. I remember in previous episodes, we touched on the idea of a capture inbox, or a temporary holding place for everything you capture. Is that part of making it seamless?
Absolutely. An external inbox, a place where everything goes temporarily without immediate judgment or organization, is key to maintaining that speed and ease of capture. You can sort and organize later during dedicated processing times. But the initial capture needs to be lightning fast. Think of it as a cosmic junk drawer for your ideas and information.
A cosmic junk drawer. I like that. So, to recap for our listeners who are just tuning in or perhaps need a refresher, we're building a capture habit by integrating it into our existing routines, using gentle reminders, focusing on micro habits and celebrating small wins, and ensuring our capture tools are easily accessible and fast. Does that sum it up well?
That's a great summary, Alex. And I'd add one more element: consistency over intensity. It's far better to capture one small thing every day than to have a marathon capture session once a month. The goal is to make capturing as natural and automatic as your own thinking process.
As natural as thinking, that's a powerful aspiration. It means that when an idea strikes, or when you encounter a piece of information that resonates, your immediate, almost unconscious impulse is to capture it. It becomes ingrained.
It does. And remember, this habit isn't just about filling your second brain. It's about actively engaging with information, which in itself is a powerful learning tool. Every time you capture something, you're making a decision about what's important, what's interesting, and what's worth preserving. That's a continuous act of learning and knowledge curation.
So, by building this habit, we're not just creating a repository of information, we're actively improving our ability to learn and filter. It's a virtuous cycle.
Exactly. The more you capture, the more you engage, and the more you engage, the more you learn. This habit truly is the engine that keeps your second brain active and growing. It's the consistent feeding of that brilliant system we've been developing.
Fantastic insight, Lisa. So, to our listeners, start small, be consistent, and make capturing a natural extension of your thoughts. The power of your second brain truly begins with the habit of filling it.
Next episode, we'll explore how to take all that captured knowledge and begin expressing it, moving from notes to valuable outputs.
Welcome back to Build a Second Brain. Last time, we learned how to consistently capture your thoughts.
That's right, Alex. We explored turning a passive collection of notes into a useful second brain by making sure you actually put things into your system. But today, we're pushing that even further. We've captured, we've organized, we've summarized. Now, how do we actually use all that incredible knowledge?
Exactly, Lisa. This episode is about bridging the gap between a passively organized second brain and actively expressing your knowledge. We're moving from just having information to doing things with it. This is where the real magic happens, where your second brain becomes a powerful engine for creation.
I love that framing, Alex, an engine for creation. Because for so long, I had brilliant ideas scattered everywhere. But it felt like pulling teeth to connect them, to form them into a coherent article or presentation. My second brain, once I started using it proactively, feels like a wellspring of content and inspiration.
It absolutely is. Think of it this way. Most people experience writer's block because they're staring at a blank page with nothing to draw from. But with a second brain, every note you've captured is a potential building block. It's like having a vast library of your own thoughts at your fingertips, ready to be assembled into something new.
So, when you're facing a task, say, writing an article, you don't just start from scratch. You go to your second brain and pull out all the relevant notes. You might be surprised at how much you've already thought about that subject.
Precisely. For instance, I was recently asked to give a talk about effective communication. My first instinct wasn't panic. It was to open my second brain. I searched for keywords like communication and collaboration. What popped up are notes from books, quotes I'd saved, even snippets of conversations that sparked an idea.
And this completely bypasses the dreaded blank page syndrome, doesn't it? Because instead of a blank page, you're looking at a curated collection of your own intelligence.
It does. And it's not just about pulling raw notes. Remember progressive summarization? Those layered summaries are crucial here. When I reviewed my notes, I could quickly scan the most important points. This allows me to rapidly identify what's relevant to the talk.
So, the process becomes about curation, synthesis, and expression, rather than pure generation from scratch. You're curating the best parts of your saved knowledge, synthesizing them into a coherent structure for your output, and then expressing them.
That's a perfect way to put it. And this applies to more than just writing. It's for presentations, for problem solving, for developing new business ideas, or even for personal projects. When faced with a complex problem, I can search my second brain for related concepts, previous solutions, or even analogies that might help illustrate the issue. It provides a more informed approach to tackling challenges.
Let's talk about that problem-solving aspect. Sometimes, the solution to a current problem is something we've already encountered, and our note-taking system has captured it.
Absolutely. Imagine you're trying to streamline a workflow. You might search your second brain for notes on efficiency or process improvement. You'd find not just definitions, but practical examples, pros and cons you'd noted, and perhaps even a workflow diagram you'd saved. This gives you a starting point grounded in actual experience and research.
It's like having a team of experts you can consult at any time, and they only ever give you advice based on your own prior learning and thinking.
That's a great analogy, Lisa. And the more you do this, the more your second brain starts to anticipate what you might need. It becomes a proactive partner. You begin to see connections between seemingly unrelated notes, sparking entirely new ideas. For example, I might be researching a new marketing strategy, and a note about a psychological principle I saved years ago suddenly becomes the perfect hook for that strategy.
So the act of creating output actually strengthens and refines your second brain, creating a positive feedback loop.
Precisely. Here's another way to think about it. Your notes are like raw ingredients. Progressive summarization is like preparing those ingredients. And then, when you need to create a meal, which is your output, your article, your presentation, you combine and cook those prepared ingredients in a way that makes sense for that specific dish.
That's a very tangible analogy for listeners. So, we're not just storing information, we're transforming it. We're taking scattered facts and ideas and turning them into demonstrable knowledge, into finished pieces of work.
And the beauty of this is that it's entirely personalized. No one else has your unique collection of captured thoughts, your specific summarization layers, or your organizational system. Therefore, the outputs you create will always have your distinct perspective. It's an amplifier for your own originality.
It definitely combats that feeling of copying or rehashing existing ideas when you're creating, because you're always drawing from your own unique repository.
Exactly. So, to recap this episode's key takeaway, your second brain isn't just for storing information, it's for expressing it. By leveraging your capture system, your organization, and your summarization techniques, you can confidently and efficiently create articles, presentations, solve problems, and develop new ideas. It transforms you from a passive note taker into an active creator, drawing from the rich wellspring of your own documented thoughts and discoveries.
It really does bring all the previous steps together. We've captured, organized, and now we're outputting. It's a complete cycle.
And in our next episode, we'll discuss how to keep this entire system vibrant and useful over time, looking at how to maintain and evolve your second brain. Next episode, maintaining and evolving your second brain. Welcome back. Last time we discussed expressing your knowledge. Now let's focus on maintenance.
That's right, Alex. We've spent a lot of time talking about building it, capturing information, organizing it with para, and linking ideas. But what happens after all that initial setup? Does it just sit there and collect digital dust?
Exactly. And that's where maintenance comes in. Think of your second brain like a garden. You don't just plant seeds and walk away. You need to water it, weed it, and sometimes prune it to help it grow strong and healthy. Your second brain needs that same kind of attention. It's a living system, not a static archive.
A living system. I like that metaphor. So, what are the key components of this garden maintenance for our digital knowledge base?
The first and most important is regular review. We need to revisit our notes, our projects, and our systems periodically. This isn't about reading everything again, but about conscious engagement. When do you recommend doing these reviews, Lisa?
I think there are a few different levels. We could do quick daily check ins, maybe weekly deeper dives, and then monthly or quarterly larger reviews. For instance, during a weekly review, you might look at your projects, see what's active, what's coming up, and what notes are relevant to those active projects.
Perfect. And during these reviews, we're not just passively looking. We're actively asking questions. Is this still relevant? Is this up to date? Does this spark joy? Or is it just taking up space? This leads us to the next crucial aspect, pruning.
Pruning. Like trimming dead branches from a tree. So, we get rid of old, irrelevant information? That sounds a little daunting. What if I delete something I might need later?
That's a common fear, but it's also why our capture systems and organization methods are so important. If something is truly gone, it wasn't properly captured or organized in the first place. When we talk about pruning, we're talking about removing what no longer serves a purpose. Think about outdated project notes for something you completed years ago, or articles you saved but never got around to reading, and now the topic is no longer of interest.
So, it's about making space for what is relevant now and what will be relevant in the future. It helps keep the system lean and efficient. It's like decluttering your physical workspace. You can find things so much faster when it's not overflowing with unnecessary items.
Exactly. And another important part of maintenance is updating. Our interests change, our projects evolve, and the tools we use might improve or become obsolete. So, we need to be open to updating our notes, reorganizing sections if a new method proves better, or even migrating to a new tool if it significantly enhances our workflow.
That brings up a good point, Alex. We've talked a lot about specific tools, but the landscape of productivity and knowledge management is always changing. How do we decide when to update or switch tools without it becoming a constant distraction?
That's where the principle of progressive summarization we discussed earlier becomes really valuable. When you review your notes, you're not just rereading, you're adding new layers of understanding. Similarly, when you consider new tools, ask yourself, does this new tool significantly improve my ability to capture, organize, or express my knowledge? Will it save me more time than the transition costs? It's about making intentional upgrades, not chasing every shiny new object. Think about it as upgrading your gardening tools. A better spade can make digging much easier, but a self-weeding robot might be overkill.
I see. So, it's about intentional evolution. We're refining the system based on our experience and changing needs. This also means being honest with ourselves about what's working and what isn't. Are there strategies for making these reviews less of a chore?
Absolutely. One strategy is to tie your reviews to existing habits. For example, you could review your project notes every Friday afternoon, right before you wrap up your work week. Or you could dedicate 15 minutes every Sunday evening to scan your capture from the past week and file anything pending. Small, consistent actions are far more effective than sporadic, overwhelming efforts.
I like that. Connecting it to existing routines makes it feel less like an added task and more like a natural part of the workflow. What about deeper, more philosophical evolution? Our second brain reflects our mind, and our mind is always growing. How does the system keep up with our intellectual and personal growth?
This is where the idea of your second brain as a companion comes into play, which we'll touch on more in our next episode. But for maintenance and evolution now, it means actively looking for connections between different pieces of information. When you're reviewing old notes, do they spark new ideas? Do they connect to something you learned recently? Making these new connections and perhaps creating new notes or outlines that bring these connections to light is a form of evolution. It's like grafting a new, fruitful branch onto your knowledge tree.
So, it's not just about tidying up, but about actively cultivating and growing new insights from the existing structure. It reinforces the idea that this is a tool for thinking, not just storing. You mentioned something about decluttering. Can you elaborate on that a bit more?
Decluttering is a specific part of pruning. It's about going through your notes, your files, your digital spaces, and consciously deciding what to keep, what to archive, and what to discard. This can apply to an entire note, a section within a note, or even just outdated tags. The goal is to reduce mental overhead. If you have hundreds of unread articles in a folder, it creates a sense of guilt and overwhelm. Deciding to delete them, or at least archive them to a someday slash maybe bucket, can be incredibly liberating.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about intentionality, making deliberate choices about what occupies our digital mental space. So, to recap for our listeners, maintaining your second brain involves regular reviews to ensure relevance, pruning to remove outdated information, and updating to keep pace with your evolving needs and tools. It's about viewing your second brain not as a static project, but as a dynamic, living system that requires ongoing care, much like a garden.
Precisely. And by consistently tending to your second brain, you ensure it remains a powerful, reliable, and ever-improving partner in your intellectual life.
That's a wonderful way to put it. It's a continuous journey of growth.
And that brings us to the penultimate episode of our series. In our next episode, we'll focus on the long-term vision, seeing your second brain as a lifetime companion. Next episode, the future of your knowledge, a lifetime companion. Welcome back to Build a Second Brain. We're looking at the horizon, exploring what your second brain can become as a lifelong companion.
That sounds exciting, Alex. A companion is a huge shift from just a tool.
It is. We've spent 12 episodes on capturing, organizing, and distilling knowledge, freeing your mind for deeper thinking.
So, what does a lifetime companion for our knowledge look like?
Picture this. Facing a new challenge, you turn to your second brain. It's a curated ecosystem of your learnings, ideas, and past projects, all interconnected.
More than a filing cabinet, like an organized assistant who knows everything you've thought about a subject.
Exactly. And it grows with you. Remember progressive summarization? It's a continuous refinement. Your second brain helps you understand what's truly important.
That reduces anxiety. The fear of forgetting melts away, freeing mental energy for meaningful activities.
Absolutely. It's about moving from retrieval to creative synthesis. You connect dots you never saw before, spotting patterns across your life.
And for personal growth, how does a strong second brain contribute?
It fuels intellectual curiosity. Knowing you can retain what you learn encourages exploring new topics. Your second brain is a safe harbor for all your explorations.
It also empowers us to contribute more, sharing our learnings.
Precisely. Your second brain supports your creative flow from capture to final expression.
It's like building a legacy of your own understanding.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it brings up an ethical consideration. When we externalize knowledge, we have a responsibility to cure it wisely.
That's a profound thought. It's about cultivating a valuable, personal data set of our growth.
Indeed, my vision for my second brain is continuous evolution, a partner in my thinking. I use it to challenge assumptions and explore possibilities.
So, for listeners building their second brains, how do they embrace this lifetime companion?
View this not as a task, but an ongoing practice, an investment in your future self. Tend your second brain like a garden, nurturing its growth.
A garden of knowledge. It emphasizes ongoing nurture and eventual harvest.
Exactly. This investment is in your intellectual capital, your creativity, and your capacity to navigate the future. It's your personal knowledge engine.
It truly transforms how we interact with information, less overwhelm, more insight.
That's the ultimate promise, and it's potent the longer you engage. This journey is just beginning.
This has been a powerful perspective shift, Alex. It's about building a future self.
Well said, Lisa. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Next time, we'll wrap up our series with a look at your second brain journey and what comes next. Welcome back to Build a Second Brain. This is the final episode.
It's hard to believe we're at the end. We've covered so much ground, from initial ideas to creating something tangible from our collected knowledge. Alex, how do you feel about wrapping up this series?
Excited primarily. We've laid out a clear path for anyone wanting to build their own second brain. Today, we'll revisit those foundational pillars: capture, organize, distill, and express. Think of it as a final review before you head out on your own adventure with your knowledge.
That sounds perfect. So, for those who might be joining us for the first time, or for a quick refresher, what's the core idea of a second brain?
At its heart, a second brain is an external system for storing and organizing your knowledge. It's a place where you can capture everything that resonates with you: ideas, insights, inspiration, so you don't have to rely solely on your biological brain. This frees up your mental energy to think creatively and solve problems, rather than just trying to remember things.
It's like having an incredibly organized, searchable personal library, but for all the information that matters to you. We started with the first pillar, capture. What was the essence of that?
Exactly, Lisa. Capture is all about getting ideas out of your head and into your system as quickly as possible. We emphasize creating a low-friction capture system, using tools and places that you can easily access. Think of your inbox, your phone's note app, or even a physical notebook. The goal here is to have a reliable place to jot down anything that sparks your interest without judgment. We want to capture everything that moves us.
Right. And the key takeaway was that if it's not captured, it effectively doesn't exist for your future self. And then, once we had those captured thoughts, we moved on to organize. That's where the PARA method, Project Action Region Area, really came into play.
Yes, organize. Capture is about the immediate inflow, while organizing is about creating structure. The PARA method, as you mentioned, projects, actions, regions, and areas provide the universal framework to organize digital information for actionability. Projects are short-term efforts with a defined outcome. Actions are the individual tasks needed to complete those projects. Regions are broad spheres of activity with a standard to be maintained, like health or finances. And areas are long-term responsibilities with a standard to be upheld, like parenting or professional development. This provides a consistent way to sort your notes so you can easily find what you need when you need it.
So, PARA helps us move from a chaotic dump of information to a system that's ready for whatever we need it for. And that leads us to distill. This is where we transform raw captured notes into something more meaningful and digestible.
Precisely. Distill is about making your knowledge your own. This is where concepts like progressive summarization shine. Instead of just having a long article or a book note, you break it down into progressively shorter summaries. The highlighted key sentences, then a brief summary of those highlights, and finally, your own synthesis. This process forces you to engage with the material, understand its core meaning, and internalize it. It's not just about collecting information, it's about understanding it deeply.
I remember how transformative that was for me. It's like squeezing the essence out of a complex idea. And finally, the last pillar is express. This is where we take all that distilled knowledge and use it to create something new.
Exactly. Express is the ultimate purpose of building a second brain. It's about taking action, creating outputs, and making your knowledge visible in the world. This could be writing an article, developing a presentation, building a product, or even just having a more informed conversation. Remember, knowledge is only useful when it's applied. Your second brain is the engine that fuels your creativity and productivity, allowing you to express your unique insights and contribute in meaningful ways.
So, we have capture, organize, distill, and express. These are the four pillars that form the foundation of a second brain. And looking back, Alex, what's been your biggest personal takeaway from this journey of building and using your own second brain?
For me, it's the peace of mind. Knowing that I don't have to hold everything in my head is incredibly liberating. It allows me to focus on the task at hand without the nagging feeling that I might forget something important. It's also been a powerful catalyst for creativity. By connecting disparate ideas stored in my second brain, I've had moments I wouldn't have had otherwise.
I agree. The feeling of not being overwhelmed by information is huge. And the ability to revisit an idea from years ago and instantly see its context and my original thoughts on it, it's like having a conversation with my past self. It's also helped me be more confident in my ideas, knowing I have the evidence and the connections to back them up.
It's a journey, not a destination. Building a second brain isn't about achieving perfection overnight. It's about consistent effort, small wins, and incremental improvements. Don't get discouraged if you miss a few days of capturing or if your organization system feels a bit messy at times. The key is to keep showing up and evolving the system to fit your needs.
That's such important advice. So, for listeners who are just starting out or perhaps feeling a little lost after this series, what are your final words of encouragement?
Start small. Pick one thing to capture today. Organize one set of notes using Para. Try progressive summarization on a single article. The momentum comes from taking action, not from waiting for the perfect moment. Embrace the process, be curious, and trust that your second brain will grow with you. It's your personal knowledge management companion for life.
Thank you, Alex. That's a powerful and encouraging way to conclude this series. We've covered a lot of ground, from the fundamental concepts to practical application, and I truly believe that anyone who engages with these principles can unlock their creative potential and manage their knowledge more effectively.
It's been a pleasure sharing this journey with you, Lisa, and with all of our listeners. Remember, your second brain is a tool to help you learn, create, and ultimately to live a more intentional and inspired life. Don't let your best ideas fade away. Capture them, organize them, distill them, and express them.
Thanks for listening to the series.